Welcome to Auto Mundial, the weekly car news and review show where this week we have Kia's latest electric car, the EV6.
Renault niche-busting SUV takes on a class favourite from Mazda, and BMW's electric saloon squares up to the Polestar 2.
We also have the luxurious new Grand Wagoneer. Is it a match for the Lincoln Navigator and Cadillac Escalade? Find out later on. First though, the news.
Jaguar Land Rover has filed its financial report for the second quarter of 2021. The Tata-owned company has reported losses of £302 million, which the company blames on a reduced production capacity due to the global semiconductor shortage. Electrified vehicles have been particularly affected, meaning cars like the I-Pace and plug-in hybrid Land Rovers are in short supply. JLR is confident things will get back to normal next year, with 32,000 orders for the new Defender in the second quarter and a new Range Rover just unveiled.
We've seen a few electric cars from Kia, and we've been pretty impressed by them all so far. The Soul EV is one of the most eye-catching options out there, and along with the practical e-Niro, offers Tesla range at Kia prices. Now though, Kia has revealed a third electric car in its lineup. This is the all-new EV6, and unlike the Soul and the e-Niro, it was designed from the ground up as an electric car rather than an ICE that's been adapted. And immediately it seems that the electric platform that it shares with the Hyundai Ioniq 5 has enabled Kia to really go to town with the styling. We're not convinced that this is a pretty car, but it is certainly striking, with lots of interesting angles and creases that really do turn heads as you quietly glide through town. Stray out of the confines of the city though, and the EV6 can really push you to the back of your seat. Top of the range cars get 321 brake horsepower with drive sent to all four wheels. 0 to 62 miles per hour is dealt with in just 5.2 seconds, which ought to be enough to worry even the hottest of hatchbacks. If outright pace isn't such a priority, there is a cheaper rear-wheel drive version. It gains a couple of seconds in the 0 to 60 sprint, but its 114 mile per hour remains the same. In the UK, both versions get the same 77.4 kilowatt per hour battery, with less powerful 226 bhp single motor cars getting the greater range at 328 miles, 14 more than the top spec car can manage. All models can be charged from 10 to 80% in 18 minutes with a 350 kilowatt fast charger, which should take some of the stress out of longer journeys. On the road, the EV6 can really get a move on. The instant torque means even the basic car is good fun to drive, especially when you stick it in sport mode. This sharpens response and firms up the steering, which is good fun if a little hectic on narrow and bumpy British roads. The EV6 is a heavy old thing though, weighing in at over 2 tons. Despite this, there's little noticeable roll through the corners. The ride is firm, which is great when you're hustling it, but can get slightly annoying at low speeds. Inside, the EV6 is a world away from Kias of old. Now, if you haven't been in a Kia built in the past 5 years or so, you are in for a bit of a shock. The cabin looks fantastic and feels built to last. The touch-sensitive buttons can be a bit fiddly, especially when you're driving, but it's otherwise a fantastic place to be. The infotainment system feels futuristic, as does the customizable gauge cluster behind the 2-spoke steering wheel. The materials are decent, as they should be in a £41,000 car, and that is just the starting price. Step up to a high-spec four-wheel drive model and you'll be well over 50 grand. So how does it compare to its sister car, the cheaper Hyundai Ioniq 5?
Well, to our eye, the Hyundai is even better looking. Every side is different from just about anything else on the roads. The design language was inspired by a concept car from 1974 called the Hyundai Pony Coupe, with various flat surfaces and lots of glass. There are nice touches like the clamshell bonnet and flush door handles and some beautiful slim LED headlights tucked away in the front fascia. In the cabin, things are a little more conventional, but still ultra stylish. The floor-mounted batteries and lack of engine have resulted in a spacious, airy interior that looks as if it could have come from a high-end office furniture shop.
However, it can't quite match the Kia's range or indeed its performance. The EV6 may seem pricey for a Kia, but this is a brand that now has the quality and the confidence to pull it off. At no point in your time with an EV6 will you feel shortchanged. It's a worthy rival to anything from Europe and an interesting head-turning alternative to the new Tesla Model Y.
Coupe SUVs, whether you love them or loathe them, are becoming increasingly popular. Spearheaded by the premium German brands, they take regular SUVs and make them a bit less practical and a bit more stylish, with lower rooflines and often bigger price tags. Now though, it seems that the trend is trickling down the food chain with this, the all-new Renault ARKANA. Far from a Mercedes GLE or BMW X6, the ARKANA is an altogether more attainable option for those looking for a stylish alternative to the more mundane Renault Kadjar. Undercutting its German rivals, the Mercedes GLC and BMW X4 by around £20,000, it occupies its own corner of the market with prices starting at just over 25 grand. For that, you get the entry-level iconic trim, which comes as standard with 17-inch alloys, LED headlights, front and rear parking sensors, and privacy glass, along with a whole host of safety equipment. We'd recommend stepping up into the mid-range S Edition model though, which gains adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitoring, and bigger alloys to complete the coupe SUV look. It also gets some leather seats and a larger 9.3-inch infotainment system, complete with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Top-spec RS line models add some nice styling accessories, but the price jump over the lower-spec cars seems hard to justify. From launch, buyers have a choice of two petrol engines. Base models get the same 1.3-litre mild hybrid setup found in the Clio, good for 138 brake horsepower and 48 mpg. Power is sent to the front wheels only via a dual-clutch autobox. Above that is a full hybrid model which makes use of the bigger 1.6 engine hooked up to two electric motors and a 1.2 kilowatt battery pack. Power isn't much higher at 143 bhp, but the WLTP economy figure is now up to 57 miles per gallon.
If you can do without the coupe shape though, there are plenty of other stylish alternatives, including this, the sleek Mazda CX-30. It looks superb, with plenty of influence from the beautiful 3 hatchback, but it's inside the cabin where you really notice the designer's hard work. The sculpted dash adopts a minimalist approach, with a sporty 3-spoke steering wheel and some fabulous front seats. High-spec cars get two-tone leather that feels as soft as anything from BMW or Mercedes. In fact, we'd argue that the CX-30's interior is nicer than the equivalent crossovers from any German manufacturer. It isn't just the design that's good, the quality is fantastic too. The infotainment works well, while there are just enough physical buttons to keep everything simple while on the move. In front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive versions, the CX-30 is a pleasure to drive. Of course, it doesn't feel quite as sharp as the 3 hatchback, but it rides very well and the Sky Active engines are quiet and refined, although you do need to work them quite hard.
The Mazda is undoubtedly a great car, but if you really want an affordable coupe SUV, you simply have to get the Renault ARKANA.
After the break, Polestar versus BMW and the all-new Grand Wagoneer.
Coming up, a trio of luxury American SUVs, but first...
While Volvo is working towards electrifying its entire lineup by 2030, its offshoot brand Polestar is almost there already with this, the all-electric Polestar 2. A very different car from the rare 600 horsepower hybrid Polestar 1, the 2 is very much aimed at stealing buyers away from not only Tesla, but traditional petrol and diesel saloon car drivers too. At first glance, the Volvo DNA is clear. The design language is similar but just about different enough to mark the Polestar out as something a bit less conventional. About the size of a Tesla Model 3 or BMW 3 Series, its fastback styling and chunky proportions make it a pleasingly unique option, but style alone won't win buyers in this corner of the market. Entry-level cars get a single electric motor powering the front wheels, producing 221 bhp, and good for a range of up to 274 miles. Not bad at all. The next of the 3 powertrains uses the same setup, albeit with a few extra horsepower, but the range is boosted to 335 miles thanks to a larger 78 kilowatt-hour battery pack. Both of these front-wheel drive models will hit 62 miles per hour from a standstill in just over 7 seconds. If you want some real EV performance though, the top-of-the-range dual-motor version sends 402 bhp to the road via all 4 wheels. With electric motors at each axle, it'll hit 62 in 4.7 seconds, while the official WLTP range will take you roughly 300 miles. Climb inside and the cabin will feel immediately familiar to any modern Volvo owners, with a similar steering wheel and a portrait infotainment screen. It looks fantastic and is minimalist without going to extremes like the Model 3. All the materials used are vegan, apart from the pricey optional leather upholstery. The 11.5-inch infotainment screen features Google Assistant with voice control, while an even bigger 12.3-inch digital dashboard lets you know your speed and range clearly and simply. The infotainment is an Android system, meaning there's no Apple CarPlay for now, but it does come with various apps allowing you to stream music, with an over-the-air CarPlay update due in autumn this year. The Polestar 2 then seems like a worthy rival to the popular Model 3, but the Tesla isn't the only small electric saloon car out there anymore.
This is the BMW i4, the latest electric four-door due to go on sale later this year. Joining BMW's other new EVs, the iX and iX3, the i4 is to all intents and purposes an electric 3 Series. But look a bit closer and you'll notice it's a bit bigger. giving us a hint towards what the upcoming 4 Series Grand Coupe will probably look like, big grille and all. It's borrowed some styling cues from the concept i4 we saw last year and has plenty of aerodynamic bits and pieces to maximise potential range. Top spec M Performance versions will get 523 bhp and a 0 to 62 time of around 4 seconds according to BMW, while the WLTP range is said to be around 360 miles. Best of all, it'll be rear-wheel drive, meaning it should be fun to drive while still holding on to some of that BMW DNA.
For now though, the Polestar 2 seems like a decent alternative to a Tesla. It's good looking, well made and good value. It lacks access to Tesla's superb supercharger network, but we suspect its contemporary styling, classy image and its range of powertrain options will make a Polestar a household name in no time.
A few weeks ago we took a look at Jeep's latest Grand Cherokee, a premium SUV that blends classic American luxury with genuine off-road ability. However, it seems that Jeep isn't done with the luxury 4x4s just yet, and it's bringing back a great name from its past. This is the 2022 Grand Wagoneer, and the first thing to note is that it doesn't say Jeep anywhere on it. It seems then that Jeep is putting some distance between this and the Grand Cherokee, with big ideas of taking on the likes of Lincoln and Cadillac. To achieve its new luxury image, Jeep has really gone to town with the chrome. It's absolutely everywhere, from the grille to the window surrounds and even to the roof rails. While it won't be to everyone's tastes, it certainly is a throwback to the classic American luxury of the 50s and 60s. Sadly, unlike the old Wagoneer, there's no wood panelling to disguise the big, flat panels. Perhaps the biggest styling mystery, though, is the rear side windows, which awkwardly flick upwards towards the back, making it seem like they've been taken from a completely different car. Step inside this behemoth though, and the luxury makeover feels much more convincing. It's full of beautiful wood and soft leather, and some very nice tech, including 2 infotainment screens, plus some TVs in the back. Under the bonnet sits a whopping 6.4-litre V8 motor, which pumps out 471 brake horsepower and can achieve 20 miles per gallon. It may not be a car for the eco-conscious then, but how does it compare to its rivals?
Well, first up, an old favourite, the Cadillac Escalade. Once a regular in every hip-hop music video in America, the Escalade has lost none of its bling in the last 2 decades, with just enough chrome to rival the Wagoneer. See this slowly cruising through town and it's immediately recognisable. The German manufacturers may be pioneering huge grilles at the moment, but the Escalade takes it to a whole new level. Like the posh Jeep, the Caddy gets a big V8, but it's now available for the first time with a diesel. This being a Caddy though, it's more about luxury than power, so Cadillac has fitted the Escalade with its own enhanced suspension technology, including magnetic ride control, air ride adaptive suspension and independent rear suspension. These features alter the car's height and damping rate of the shock absorbers to create a silky smooth ride. On the road, the Escalade features Super Cruise, which enables hands-free driving on more than 200,000 miles of compatible highways in the US and Canada, the first of its kind in a large SUV. Some of the features of this tech include automated lane change, driver monitoring systems and lane offset. It's inside though where the Escalade really shines. Everything you touch feels expensive, but the most impressive features are undoubtedly the stunning curved OLED displays, which are an industry first and have a higher pixel density than a 4K television. And then there's this, the Lincoln Navigator. Another old favourite of the early noughties rap scene. This is the 4th generation car, but does it still sit in the Cadillac's shadow? It's been on sale for a while now, and some of the tech does feel half a generation behind versus the other two, but this is still a very impressive car. Unlike the Escalade and the Grand Wagoneer, it makes do with a V6 rather than a V8, but performance is on par and fuel economy is better, making this a somewhat more sensible daily driver.
All of these cars are big, brash, and a bit silly if we're honest. They're modern interpretations of classic American luxury. But if you want a real up-to-date luxury SUV, there's still one obvious choice.
Join us again next week on Auto Mundial as we bring you one of the biggest releases of the year, the all-new 2022 Range Rover.